what can you say about Drive? The answer is plenty.
Canada be damned. I'm going to the Klondike.
The Klondike is Canada.
Giorgio, you be doing just fine, brother.
There's something to be said for the man who says little. And in terms of film, if it's done correctly, whatever message is intended to be conveyed, it will be conveyed. Success in that hinges completely on the actor. If it's performed poorly, it's as blinding as the sun, and the message is lost. However, there are some instances where the message isn't intended to be obvious right away. It's a purposeful question left with the audience, which is meant to be answered later on. In the case of Nicholas Winding Refn's Drive, any message meant to be conveyed is done so masterfully. But before we drive those points home, let's detail what Drive is. 2011's Drive is about a young, quiet man who's both an auto mechanic and a movie stunt driver. He's played by Ryan Gosling, and to the audience, he's just known as Driver. To the other characters, he's not referred to by any name, unless you're his handler, in which he's simply known as Kid.
Hey, kid, come over here for a second, will you? Look like a zombie, kid. You getting any sleep?
Hey, kid.
You know what? Director wants to see a rollover. You okay with that? All right, that's a cut! Oh, kid, that was fantastic. Just fantastic.
By night, Driver moonlights as a criminal getaway driver, one which has a strict set of rules.
You tell me where we start, where we're going afterwards. I give you 5 minutes when we get there. Anything happens in that 5 minutes and I'm yours, no matter what. Anything a minute either side of that and you're on your own. I don't sit in while you're running it down. I don't carry a gun. I drive.
His life is on cruise control until two things happen. He begins a relationship with his neighbor, Irene, played by Carey Mulligan, and her son, Benicio, while Driver's handler, Shannon, played by Bryan Cranston, looks to start a legit racing partnership with local mobster Bernie, played by Albert Brooks.
Kid, I want you to meet Mr. Bernie Rose.
Nice to meet you.
My hands are a little dirty.
So am I.
Early into their newfound relationship, Irene's husband Standard, played by Oscar Isaac, gets out of prison and returns home. Shortly after, it's discovered that not only has Standard returned home, but he's brought a big problem home with him. In an effort to stem the problem from affecting Irene and Benicio, Driver takes it upon himself to remedy Standard's problem. Unfortunately for Driver, some shadow players have other plans in mind, and the fallout is one which threatens to affect all of those connected to him. Like I said before, Driver doesn't say much, especially in the opening act. Interestingly, the first scene we're introduced to him, Driver's talking, but we don't see his face. From there, we go into an intense sequence where we see his face, but the only thing we hear is a police scanner, the radio, and the sounds of vehicles. Even after seeing it several times, I find the tension of this scene unavoidable. A big part of that is due to the direction, but much credit is deserved to Gosling, whose silent acting makes that tension contagious. His eyes and actions do the talking for his capabilities, as well as his state of mind while executing those capabilities. By being thrown into this scene at the top of the film, we're filled with tension, not just because we don't yet know what to expect, but because the film forces us to stew in silent uncertainty. Much like Driver's passengers, we look to his face to get a read on what's to come and how he'll deal with it. However, his stone face and the escalating and drawn-out pacing of this pursuit makes our mind ask anxious questions. Questions that have endless possibilities, none of which have the definitive answer we're looking for. As a result, our fear of the unknown takes over, and our anxiety grows exponentially with every second.
Blake Griffin on the
clock against Red David. Less than a minute to play. Double tonight for Griffin.
Dispatch, this is 1 Adam 6. Possible suspect vehicle sighted at stoplight. Stand by.
Roger, Unit 6.
As both the film and plot progress, we're given a little more insight into the character of Driver. He talks a bit more, and we've painted a picture in our mind of who he is. At the same time, we've also come to know our antagonist Bernie and his partner in crime Nino, played by Ron Perlman. Rarely do Bernie and Nino flex their muscles, but we get the impression that they can handle themselves. They have more resources at their disposal than Driver, and by extension of being in the Mafia, we assume they're more ruthless and powerful than Driver. By his exceptional talent as a driver, we don't consider Driver's competence as a fighter or as someone who can intimidate. In fact, his talent for driving is so great, we make the assumption that any capabilities Driver has must be exclusive to driving. But we couldn't be more wrong.
I got this sweet job coming up.
How about this? Shut your mouth, or I'll kick your teeth down your throat and I'll shut it for you. Do you remember this? Now you just got a little boy's father killed. You almost got us killed. And now you're lying to me. So how about this? From now on, every word out of your mouth is the truth. Or I'm gonna hurt you. Do you understand?
There are many reasons to love Drive. Whether it's the cast, the cinematography, the composer, everyone involved in this film has brought their A game. And it shows. Refn and Gosling are merely standouts. Although I didn't touch upon their contributions to Drive, their work here is neither unsatisfactory nor unworthy of mention. What makes Drive such a masterful film is that the attention doesn't have tunnel vision on the stunt driving. Like any film worth its salt, Drive excels in all aspects of filmmaking, and therefore, unlike its driving-heavy blockbuster counterparts, Drive keeps you buckled into your seat without simply waiting for the next car chase. It's a devout believer in show me, don't tell me, which raises its standards by treating the audience with respect, asking them to draw their own conclusions. And I've come to the conclusion that on the whole, Drive is a great movie. But I suppose that goes without saying.